Good morning, everybody. We have a lot of data to cover. Take a look at this really quick. So we had some old data from when the government was shut down that they're finally giving us. Building permits in September, higher than expected. Housing starts basically as expected. Now this is the new data. Average hourly earnings 0.3, exactly as expected. Non-farm 50K over 66. Unemployment 4.4 over 4.5. Building permits for the recent data 1.41 over 1.35, so almost exactly as the last one. 1.25 for housing starts over 1.33, so a little bit low on that one. That is it for the data that came out before the bell. After the bell, we have consumer sentiment and inflation expectations at 10 o'clock, so we'll watch out for that. Those are the UOM data, so that's not too impactful, but we'll see what it does. Okay, so taking a look at our trade plan from last night, we said holding above 77. We are looking for that retrace into 7,000, possibly a breakout into 25. That'd be a pretty big move, but that is the next major level. Holding below 40, which is pretty far away. We might update this here. Let's actually just change this one to 77 as well. And then holding below that, we look for 53. And then we look for 40. Okay, so this profile is a little bit hard to classify because you have so many little nodes. You would assume it's like a trend profile, but it's not really trending here. It kind of was for a little bit, and then he came back down. So I would almost just consider this a balanced profile that's just slightly trying to break balance. So it was a balanced profile that we tried to break, and then it failed. So holding below the value low of Thursday is pretty weak. And then holding above the value low of Wednesday is a lot stronger. All right, is NASDAQ the same story here? So same thing with NQ. Let's go ahead and raise this lower target. Because it has shown signs of like back testing that value and failing. So we'll say 806 and 806 here. And this will be 951 and we'll say 26,000. And then downside will be, let's see here, 650, which is the POC, and then 618, which is that value low. The same idea, just updating the targets a little bit. So same thing here. I would treat this like a D shape that just tried to break balance but failed. I'm actually going to change this level because that is pretty far away at this point. We're going to leave it for the above level, but for the below level, let's go 700 here. Because it's already like a 100-point move. We'll say 700 on the downside. Okay, final answer. I think that is good. That is a pretty big move for a pre-market candle. There was a lot of data coming out. About a 20-point move leading into the bell here. Sitting right on VWAP. One thing that is pretty good here is they're actually following each other for once. Yesterday, they were not following each other at all. Good morning, everybody. Want a JCAT pot, Patriot? Let me pin the trade plan for you guys. Cody, Tachi, Jose, TS, Ordinary. Keep an eye on VWAP here. We'll see how it gets respected right out of the open. Hopefully ES and NASDAQ keep following each other. Yesterday was pretty brutal because they were both doing their own thing. A lot of sell pressure on NASDAQ, not so much on ES. So already starting to diverge a little bit. Good morning, Morris, Scott, Banana, Estevan, Nitro, Leo, Igor, Future, Titus, Ram, OD, David. Good morning, Future, Mr. B, HC, Constantine. Sell pressure Dragon ES down here. Good morning, Larry, Trevor, Marcel, Angelo, XP, Martin. Good morning, Suzanne, Peter, Adam, Builds. Cody, take a deep breath, man. We don't got to be so negative right on the open. It'll be a good day. It's all right. Good morning, Darius, Lubomir, Michael, Ken, Ike, Roman. Targets, DMG. Good morning, good morning. Happy Friday, everybody. All right, Cody, I'm just going to time you out for a little bit, man. You need to take a deep breath and take a break, I think. Getting a little too emotional in chat. I understand trading's hard and sometimes you guys are losing money, but don't let that flood into the chat, please. You want a Boz? Want a Roman? So they're already doing what they were doing yesterday, where you see more buyers on VWAP on ES, you see more sellers on VWAP on NASDAQ. Oh, you said, why don't I use the value high of yesterday? Value high of yesterday. I am using it on NQ. Do you mean for ES? Why am I not using it? What did we say, 77? I think 77's a better level here. Just the way the market is retesting that 77 area. But you can do that. You can, if you want to say holding below 65, that's perfectly reasonable. I like the rejection of this 77 already. That's why I used that for the trade plan. Yeah, I think the tariff, I don't know if they're making like a full decision today. I know they're making some comments on it, but I'm not sure. Yeah, the first target on NASDAQ was very close, so we were expecting that to get hit pretty early. It actually hit it like to the exact tick so far. Next target on NASDAQ is 618, and then I'll go ahead and lower those if it hits that right away. That is a POC level from, was it yesterday? I think it's yesterday. Yeah, we have a little bit of data coming out at 10 o'clock, but it's kind of lost its ability to dictate the market. It's not as high impact as it used to be. Yeah, Dennis, it's kind of like a waiting game for the most part. You want them to be following each other at least a little bit. Like, for example, right now, they're both going up at the same time, right? They're not completely unique. But typically, if they're doing their own thing, you need to focus on one of them. Just try to, for the most part, try to ignore the other one. Unless there's like something major happening. It's retesting like a very important level, or there's like a spike in volume or something. It's usually not as bad as it was yesterday. Yesterday was really bad. Yesterday was highly unusual. NASDAQ was constantly selling VWAP. Pretty much every single retest you could have sold VWAP. And then the opposite for ES. Almost every retest you could have bought VWAP on ES. It was very weird. Good morning, Ace. Yeah, let's hope that yesterday is not a common thing. That should not keep happening. Knock on wood, but let's hope, right? Usually when they diverge from each other, it's like, okay, one of them's making a new high, but one of them's kind of making a lower high. But overall, they're still doing the same thing. Kind of like today. They're overall still kind of doing the same thing. They have a downward impulse, they're bouncing off the downward impulse. The only difference is one of them is respecting VWAP, one of them is not. Yeah, I know the court thing is going on. Is today like the absolute decision? Like they are making the yes or no? I thought it was just like a one leading up to the final decision. No, I don't hold anything overnight. I am just a day trader. Unless it's like my stock portfolio or like long-term stuff, obviously. But for my futures, like day trading stuff, I don't hold anything overnight. A lot of buy pressure coming in here. Very similar to what we saw yesterday. Yesterday we talked about how they were lifting the offers. They were pulling their offers and allowing it to go up. And that's kind of what we're seeing right here. There's a possible decision today. Okay, that's kind of what I was thinking. I don't think it's like absolute. Big bearish block trade there, simultaneous across both indexes. 1158. Right on that point of origin, like to the tick. Good morning, Tamer. Good morning, Ace. No, not usually. I don't open too many trades pre-market. It's pretty rare. Morning, Chuck. Happy New Year. Good morning, Matt. I know it's probably coming up on nighttime for you. Yeah, that'd be a hard time to trade the U.S. market. Yeah, you basically just become like a night owl. Like if you were trading in Japan or anywhere around there, anywhere around those time zones. What would their London time be? Their London Open if you were in Japan, it'd be like dinner time. It'd be like what, 5 to 7? That'd be a hard time to trade as well. 6 p.m., yeah. Good morning, PL. I'm not sure what number you're referring to. I only have level 1, so I can't see any level 2 or anything like that. So the only numbers I can show you on the DOM are the best offer and the best bid. Yeah, it's not too bad, Matt. Yeah, I used to be the same way with crypto. I'd stay up till like 6 a.m., basically trading like 16 hours a day, so I understand the night owl trading. It's not too bad. It's bad for like long periods of time. You're doing it like every single day, and your schedule's not built around it. But if your schedule's around it, it's not too bad. There's a little bit of data coming out at 10 o'clock, 15 minutes from now. You can see why I said that we're more like a D shape today. We had that kind of neutral chop, kind of turning into a little bit of a capital B, which is just a worse version of a D shape. Yeah, exactly. It becomes like a lifestyle at that point. I don't know what I would trade if I was over there. I'd probably trade like oil or something. Something that has pretty good movement throughout the day, not just like at 12 o'clock at night. Probably like gold or oil. Commodities are usually pretty good. CME, yeah, CME still has a ton of options. They're battling over this 77 level so much, in fact, it is today's POC. You can see why we chose it for our important level for today. If they can hold above it, you get a lot more bullish, possibly retracing that. What day is that? Wednesday. You did try to retrace it, but you failed the POC. So if we pretend that we close like down here, or even like somewhere around here, whatever's left will be an incomplete auction. Because we started the retrace, but we did not finish it. Which just goes hand in hand with what we were talking about. Still looking like a rollover if they can't retrace that value. So pretty important close today. We'll see how it goes. Yeah, for sure, Roman. A lot of my patterns were heavily tested on like oil and gold back in like 2018, 2020, not like recent markets. But a lot of those patterns, they're kind of evergreen patterns where they're still around. Like the sweeps and the rollovers and stuff like that. The sweeps, for the most part, are probably even better on things like oil. If you guys remember my very first sweep video that I made, was on oil. I was using oil as the examples because we used to trade it on oil on like the 15-minute, 30-minute chart because they were so good. Now, they're probably still good. I just don't really watch oil on a daily basis anymore. Recently, the market with NASDAQ and ES, it's been giving you enough trades to where you don't really need to look at anything else. You don't need to look at gold and oil as much as you used to, right? Oil's having a little bit of a spike today, up 1.25. Yeah, it's pretty balanced right now. It was a capital B, which generates a lot of like back and forth. And because we were going back and forth so much, you put in a third node on the middle there. So just a balance causing us to chop around. Pretty nasty sell coming in right now. More bearish blocks coming in. Liquidity is actually pretty low today compared to the last few weeks. Look at how many blue orders we're getting, level 2 orders. You do not want to see that many level 2 orders coming in. Possibly market makers pulling their liquidity for the Supreme Court decision, maybe the data coming out at 10 o'clock, who knows. But yeah, liquidity is very low today compared to average. Used to have the oil tape. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I used to have the oil tape instead of the NASDAQ tape. Yeah. I stopped watching oil back when I did because it was the like Russia, Ukraine, Israel, Iran. There was a lot of global stuff going on that was just constantly pushing oil around. And I was just tired of it being so heavily tied to news because oil is already so heavily tied to news just on a baseline when there's not massive global conflicts going on. So when you have those big conflicts going on, it just gets even worse. And you guys know I don't like the news trades, so I just stopped watching oil for the time being. If it gets back to where like ES and NASDAQ are not generating as many trades per day, we'll probably start watching oil again. How would you use the profiles for gold? Same way you use them for everything else. You just have the session profiles. Unless you're looking at it on more of like a swing trading basis, then you'd have to use the bigger profiles like the weeklies, monthlies. You could do the composites where you like draw your own profile. But for the most part, you're doing it the same way. Just every session. I'm not sure when the court decision is. I don't think there's an exact time for it. Because it's not like absolute. It's not 100% going to happen. Our VWAP trades on commodities, they're good, but I like using the anchored VWAPs, as you guys see me do on stream. When I do my analysis on oil and gold, I always pull those anchored VWAPs from like the point of origin. It's like the local high, the local low. You can use like the daily VWAP as well. It's always good. A little bit of data coming out in a few minutes here. I can't mess with the DOM, Matt, because it's like custom made. It's like custom made in the Addis. There's like an Addis builder. Like when you're playing with the DOM, you can go into like an actual builder and take away buttons and like add buttons. So there's no like settings. It's like custom made. That's why it looks weird at the bottom, because I just completely cut off the bottom portion. And then it has a current day's profile on the left and a weekly profile on the right. Yeah, it took me a while to get it to look like that. It's kind of a pain, to be honest. It's not a very intuitive system, at least back when I was using it. But you have to go into like the custom builder and then just like delete the buttons that you don't want to use. You got to be very careful in that custom builder because it's so easy to mess it up. It took me a while, if I remember. It took me the longest to do that. Come on, Albazi. I don't know how the delta is on Thinkorswim. I think from what the community said, it's not the best. I would use Addis or NinjaTrader or Tradeovate. You have 1 minute until that data comes out. Let's see. Consumer sentiment better than expected, 54.0, 53.5. Inflation exactly as expected, 4.2. And you can see what I mean about this data. It says it's high impact, but it's not really anymore. It's kind of lost its appeal. Still seeing like no liquidity today. Level 2 orders, pretty much every single order. Is that what they said? Let me see. Yeah, will not rule on the U.S. Tariff case today. That's kind of what I was saying earlier. It wasn't absolute. What a choppy mess. A choppy, low liquidity mess, too, which is even worse. Morning, Faraj. Rick, watch the volume profile video in the Becoming an Apex Trader series. I talk about it on that one, I believe. And I also just do it every single morning on the live stream. So if you just go back and watch my live streams during the first like 10 minutes or whatever, I talk about the levels every day. So it looks like the market was kind of betting on those tariffs being held or like postponed or whatever you want to call it. So now that order is not being made by the Supreme Court, the market's coming down a little bit. How do I know it's low liquidity? You can see it on the tape. All those blue orders coming in, that's what low liquidity looks like. Yeah, market does not like that they're not making a decision today. Keep an eye on those lower levels, possibly 53, maybe 40. Market really not liking that headline. Keep an eye on that 53 level here, and then possibly down to 40. The 40 level has already been tested multiple times, so it's pretty weak. Possibly down to 35. NASDAQ 618 coming up. It's basically already hit. Let me go ahead and extend our NASDAQ targets. Massive bullish block trade and Delta coming in here. Yeah, there's our 18 target, damn near to the tick. 558 would be next. Sorry, not 518, 558. Another block trade coming in. Looks like liquidity is getting better now that that decision is made. Or I guess you would say not made. Keep an eye on the bounce back. If it makes it back to VWAP, we'll see how it reacts. You topped out on that point of origin on the high damn near to the tick, and now we're bottoming damn near to the tick on this lower one. So that's that high that got formed at 9 a.m. and then the low that got formed at 4 a.m. Very early on that 30-minute candle, but if it's very weak, you could have single prints going back to 67, somewhere around there. No reaction to VWAP here. Delta exploding. The blue orders are being triggered because the best possible selling point or the best possible buying point are being taken out. So, like, if the best bid is 20 contracts, but I'm trying to sell 50 contracts, I'm going to take out that best bid. And it's going to trade below it. Same thing on the buy side. If I want to buy 100 contracts, but there's only 20 contracts there, it's going to go above it. The block trades are being heavily respected today. You had a sell block damn near on the high of day. It was instantly respected, went back down. Then you had all these buyer blocks come in, instantly respected, went back up. Are they more likely to be respected in low liquidity? Kind of, because the block trades are obviously like very high volume compared to the average, and the average would be low. So if the average is very low, then you would respect the big boys, right? You would respect the big orders. So you could say that. I wouldn't bet on it though. It's not something you can like actively bet on where you're like, okay, big bullish block came in, I'm going to go long, or big bearish block came in, I'm going to go short. You still have to kind of wait and see what they're going to do. But it's a good thought. Yeah, you're still pretty D-shaped. Until you start seeing a lot of value break away from this overlap. You're just overlapping the same candle over and over and over. This candle is nasty. Really ugly candles today. Very similar to yesterday. Not a great way to end the week. No, I don't think anything crazy's happened that you could say the market is actually changing. It's just a couple days. Maybe when they make a tariff decision or something. Yeah, kind of. They're not getting the most efficient order that they want. I believe I talk about it in the 5th video in the Becoming an Apex Trader series. Should be in the order flow video. Yeah, I appreciate it. When you make it to episode 5, it will make sense. Looks like the market does not care about the tariffs as much anymore. They were going to make the decision today, then they didn't. Block trades came in on that headline. Or it actually went down first, then block trades came in. And now they're going up pretty aggressively. It's the thing about the market. You say something enough and it kind of loses its power. That 618 level was just absolutely disgusting. That was damn near the bottom, almost to the tick on NASDAQ. That's that value low of yesterday. So look at this, value level to value level. Value low, all the way back to, that's actually supposed to say value low, it says value high. all the way back to the value low of, what day is that? Wednesday. Hey, Albazi, no problem, man. Yeah, levels have been good recently. They're doing a really good job. It's always nice when the market just follows the volume profile levels. Makes it a lot easier. Yeah, Lord of the Rings is good. I don't think I've met anybody that doesn't like Lord of the Rings. It's probably the best trilogy. I don't know if there's a better trilogy. Usually trilogies, like, they get worse and worse. Star Wars, yeah, Star Wars is okay. I think their newest trilogy was absolutely horrendous. I think the other two trilogies are comparable. Like, I can understand why people prefer the prequels or people prefer the originals. But I think the consensus on the new ones is they're just terrible. The Matrix is okay. I think the third movie's a little too long and the second movie's kind of boring. And I don't dare to watch the fourth one. I heard the fourth one is horrendous. Yeah, I really like Rogue One. Rogue One's really good. Out of all the newest content they've made for Star Wars, that's probably the best. John Wick, I don't think John Wick gets better. I think it gets worse. I think the first one's the best. The second one is pretty good. The third and fourth one are eh. Okay, getting very strong. If they stay above 806 here, keep an eye on that 951. We've almost completely retraced Wednesday on ES here, so no incomplete auctions so far. I haven't watched Rings of Power, but I heard it's like mixed. I've heard some people like it, some people don't like it. But I haven't watched it. John Wick just gets repetitive. It's like, how many different ways can he kill people, right? You know what I mean? It's like the same thing over and over and over again. And I think the movies are just a little bit too long. The first one is really good because it's like an hour and a half. The third and fourth one just feel like they drag on forever. Okay, this is actually hilarious because we were thinking there was going to be single prints on the downside on this 30-minute candle. And they've completely retraced the entire day. And now there's most likely going to be single prints on the upside, going down to 89. That's kind of crazy. Absolutely insane reaction to the Supreme Court headline. Oh, so something that could be helping this. Supposedly, Trump posted job data on Truth Social, I believe. That could be helping it. People are taking that job data bullishly. Yeah, man, have a good weekend, man. Yeah, Maze Runner's okay. The trilogy's okay. I wouldn't say it's anything crazy. That was a different era of movies, though. By the way, Single Print's going down to 89. We had an era of like dystopian movies. You had like The Hunger Games, Maze Runner, all that stuff. What are the other ones? Divergent. Divergent was another one. All those book series it's the same exact topic. They're just remade differently. The dystopian. We're in more of a fantasy era right now. Not as much dystopian stuff. Single prints being instantly filled in. Keep an eye on eight. They do this every time. They love to leave one open. There's one more going down to 88, 89. Is Bitcoin moving? Yeah, it's up like 1% on the day after being down quite a bit. Dollar's pretty strong. Dollar versus the yen is strong. Oh, never mind about the jobs thing. That was yesterday, supposedly. I don't know why they're posting about it today. It's because Bloomberg just started posting about it. They're a day late on that one. Yeah, Dark Tower. Yeah, I never read the books. I watched that movie a few years back. Watch these 5-minute lows. Very strong trend here. You have not lost a 5-minute low on this impulse up here. Hey, Builds, have a good weekend. A little bit of a 30-minute sweep here. Not losing those 5-minute lows just yet. Watch that single print you have not filled in. They built a very strong node up here at 96, very close to being the POC. They were not able to shift it before coming down, though. Here's that first test of the 24 since we started exploding. So far, no reaction on the 24. Single print filled in. If it doesn't react here, keep an eye on VWAP. Still playing out that sweep. You could argue it's a rollover top, but it's a very fast one. It's all like one smooth rollover. It's not giving you the like defined levels. We talked a lot about them kind of pulling their offers and like taking away the liquidity on the sell side and making it very easy for you to climb. You're kind of seeing that on the downside here. They're pulling a lot of liquidity on the buy side because you're not trading a ton on these levels. You're just kind of breaking right through them. You're not building up any nodes. It's not stalling on the levels. They're just easily falling back down. Gotta keep moving my chart around. Things moving so fast. Might actually have to turn the scale up here. Keep an eye on VWAP here. VWAP at 79 to 77. This is that sweep target. So if you took that sweep, the obvious targets would be the 24 EMA and VWAP. Like I said, you could treat it like a rollover top as well, just a very fast rollover top. Yeah, there's definitely a poor high. It would need like 7,002 to repair. Yeah, there was a good 5-minute pivot there as well. We're kind of sitting on the 5-minute trail. The trail is at 78, which is also VWAP. Lines up nicely here. There was also a really good 5-minute pivot on the bottom as well. It was one of those pivots that came in immediately and then it closed very strong. I can show those really fast if you guys don't have the indicator. That's the one on the high. That's the one on the low. And that's the trail I was talking about. Failing the value high of Wednesday damn near perfectly. That's that 7,000 level. I believe that's high of day, like to the tick. What's the high of day here? Yeah, you missed it by one single tick. So ES topping out damn near to the tick on that value level, and NASDAQ bottoming out damn near to the tick on that value level. So these levels are being massively respected right now. And then look at the bottom here. I mean, this is just getting ridiculous at this point. The bottom is to the tick. This value low. So damn near to the tick on the high, damn near to the tick on the low. So they are respecting Wednesday's value beautifully. Now, not as clean on NASDAQ. You have a pretty big incomplete auction here. The bottom was very clean. Top, not so much. getting pretty bottom heavy into VWAP here. Building up a node, pushing into it. Pretty much all bearish delta. Hey, Mr. B, have a good weekend, man. Yeah, this is a much better reaction here. It went crazy on the bottom, went crazy on the top. Needs to calm down, kind of sit around VWAP. You're stuck between that 24 and VWAP here. Getting a lot of absorption, a lot of bearish delta down here. It's not going anywhere. That absorption is starting to get squeezed out a little bit here. They're pushing it back up. Could say it's a bull flag and a VWAP as well as a absorption. Needs to hold above this node here, this bottom heavy node. So like 85. You also could argue it's a failure to rotate because you wanted to go down to 70, but you're bouncing on the POC and VWAP. Hey, Albazi, have a good weekend, man. If you treat this as a bull flag and a VWAP, the target is obvious, the prior high. You're kind of already hitting it on NASDAQ. Need probably like one more push on ES. This would be a little bit early. This is more like a lower high. Here's that prior high on NASDAQ. You still need a little bit more on ES. I'd say minimum like 96, kind of like below that node. Maybe like 95. Okay, so now you can consider that prior high hit. So that bull flag in the VWAP is finished. See if you can extend that upper tail, which would repair that poor high. They might be able to shift the POC to this upper node. It just needs to hang out on 96 a little bit longer. Delta is very weak on NASDAQ, not as bad on ES. A lot of buyers coming in 95, 97, 98, 99. Big blocks at 98, 99. Now they're saying Supreme Court to issue rulings on January 14th. What day is that? That is next Wednesday. That's also CPI week, so that'll be pretty active. Still not shifting that POC because you're actually hanging out on the top of that node here. There's the poor high repair, possibly extending that upper tail a little bit. You still need a little bit of a push on NASDAQ going back to 951. That'll finish the retrace of Wednesday. That's already finished on ES. So high of day would be the next target around 07. Could be like a cup and handle, but it would have to be very shallow. It can't pull back too much. I'd say like 92, 91, somewhere around there. That'd be like the lowest it can go. But all right, guys, we're going to call it there. I appreciate you guys being here as always. Enjoy your weekend. I will be back on Monday. If you guys are in Discord, I will be streaming there for the rest of the day. If you guys want to support the channel, you can hit that like button and subscribe on YouTube. I believe Apex just announced another sale. I think it's 80% off, I think, until the 15th. I'd have to double check on that, but it's sometime next week. 80% off and $35 resets. If you guys buy any accounts using that code, code BREW, B-R-E-W, just be sure to hold on to your receipts. We're going to start doing our raffles again. Same raffles as last year. So every month, if you guys are new here, we do raffles for people that use the code. Just hold on to the receipts. I'll ask you guys in the last week of the month to start sending them over. And then you guys get tickets for the accounts that you buy. So you get 1 ticket for 50K, 2 tickets for 100, so on and so forth. We do cash prizes and Discord access as well. But all right, guys, I appreciate you being here. Enjoy your weekend. If you're in Discord, I'll see you guys there. If not, I will see you guys on Monday. Peace, everybody.